of change and impact and empowerment that is very critical in this space. Because to say that the major challenges that we face on the continent are very, very dire. When you talk about issues around abject poverty, the challenges around food insecurity, health, and the major challenge around graduate unemployment. For us, seeing a lot of our brothers and sisters using illegal routes to travel to Europe, I think we have that space to use our organizations as instruments of change. And over the period, we've seen various institutions and organizations that have been set up to address a few of these issues that I talked about. But increasingly, we are seeing that many of these forms of institutions are not adequate to address the challenges that we are encountering. So we are seeing a lot of interest in the social enterprise concept. In Ghana, when we were looking at social enterprises back in 2016, we were barely talking about some 10,000, 26,000 social businesses. But the current figures we are seeing close to 300,000 social enterprises in Ghana alone, close to about 70,000, 100,000, and the numbers keep increasing in Nigeria. We are seeing these kind of institutions and organizations as platforms to cause the kind of change that is required in the African continent. Indeed, the increasing interest in the social enterprise concept and idea allows us to reflect and think around the models that will make these kind of institutions and organizations sustainable. Currently, I think we have a very loose definition and thinking around a concept around this as generally organizations that use business principles and strategies to address social, environmental, and economic issues. And their interest is mainly around impact, but of course, in issues around sustainability, we are also looking at how they use all these models to also generate revenue, income, and promote shared prosperity among the whole value chain in the business arena. And critical to these are the various features and characteristics of the social enterprises that we talk about. As you may see, when new trends, when new ideas, new forms emerge, people try to generally just adopt or pick up elements of that without thinking through the whole process. So we see issues around greenwashing. We also are generally seeing that a lot of people want to claim themselves as social enterprises or social entrepreneurs when they are not. But the thinking around these social enterprises is the fact that they are instruments for us to use to cause a lot of change. And elements, characteristics, and features of them become very important so that they become very distinct elements from the other forms of organization that we may see around. So many times we see the likes of even traditional businesses laying claim to be social enterprises or green businesses. It's very important for us that in our endeavor to build an ecosystem for businesses that are impact-oriented, we address them as such and tailor-made the relevant support that is required for them. Indeed, in our reflections and thinking here, for one to be seen as a social enterprise, there is a need for us to deliberate intentionally around sustainability, where it's not just about grants and donations, but thoughts around financial sustainability, that there is a component of roughly 50%, 60% of their income, not only just from donations and charity, but also the ability to trade and offer a value to your users, constituents, or beneficiary community. Colleagues, of course, that intentionality about using that in organization to cause social and environmental change is very, very critical to whatever we are talking about. Indeed, whereas other traditional businesses are only interested in the profit and deriving dividends and sharing whatever there is to the owners, for us, the interest is in the constituents, the users, the beneficiaries of whatever operations that we are organizing. So the need for us to either reinvest or plow back into the operations, the returns and surpluses that we make. I did also allude to the fact that this is not our typical NGOs. These are organizations that are trading something. They're offering solutions. They are generating income or revenue in their operations and activities that they do. And there is, in that light, less dependency on grants and donations and asking or begging for alms. Here, you're offering a solution to a constituency or a user group or beneficiary community that are willing and able to afford and pay for that. In this regard, it's very important that you keep on thinking around the impact that the organization is creating and be able to measure that kind of impact and report that accordingly. So this table is an effort for us to think through what are the major distinct factors and features that make social enterprises different from our NGOs and the traditional businesses or traditional enterprises. For us here in Ghana, and I think in Africa as a whole, we have a peculiar challenge of registering our social enterprises. So we normally will take the form of a company limited by guarantees, or the NGO form, or limited by shares. We don't have any distinct legal form for social enterprises to register as such. And over the period, that has been part of our policy and advocacy engagement with various governments, both local and continental, to see how best we can have various legal forms, especially for social enterprises to register in such manner. My closing reflections and thoughts all point to this very slide, which is the thinking that the traditional businesses and the NGO operations are not quite adequate and sustainable for us to address the many challenges that we encounter here across Africa. Indeed, as I always tell my colleagues here in Ghana, the opportunity is not for us to build one or two Dangotes. It is about how do we build 1 million or 1 billion Dangotes to address our challenges. And the reflection around how we can use our social enterprises, our organizations, as tools to change the whole solutions and situation that we find ourselves here across the continent. And thoughts around how do we use our organizations to address the many social challenges that we find ourselves, the environmental challenges that we find ourselves, and using that as tools for impact, where we are addressing the many challenges, be it around the environment, be it around poverty, and even economic deprivation for many communities. And in thinking through that model, it is important that we highlight a few of the issues that we are talking about in terms of the value that our social enterprise is promoting for social good, for environmental good, that the shift in thinking is mainly to the users and consumers other than the beneficiaries, and just mainly top-notch customers that can pay high-notch funds or money for whatever it is that we are offering. Then this becomes an operation that we are interested in what impact that the organization is offering to the various communities that it is serving. Indeed, that is one clear distinction from a traditional organization or a traditional business and a social enterprise. The orientation around impact and ensuring that your operations is not just about the bottom line, which is profit, but thinking around how do you use that organization to create impact in the various communities that it is working, especially the beneficiaries and the users. Colleagues, as we think about how do we scale our startups and our businesses from zero, it is important for us to put this at the back of our mind and be majorly intentional about our startups. The startups are not just instruments for us to say that, yes, I've made a lot of money, I'm a big guy in time now. The reflection about moving from zero to greatness, to billions, is to see how can you use your startup to make a difference in the lives of the more than 600 million people across Africa. And reflecting through that model and ensuring that that model is an instrument that is protecting the environment, that is lifting people from abject poverty, that is addressing their pain points. It's a reflection that we always want to look at. That it's not just about the bottom line, that I'm able to raise $1 billion, I'm raising $1 million, but how are you using that $1 million to impact a lot of communities around country or around the globe? And we've seen great examples from many other jurisdictions. The familiar case of Grameen Bank that is able to uplift more than 5 million people from abject poverty through provision of small loans to many underserved communities, especially women. In Ghana, we have fantastic social enterprises, examples being Pharma, that is delivering very, very major medical solutions to rural communities, underserved communities. And indeed, in Nigeria, we have Code Hubs that is addressing issues of post-harvest losses using solar-powered cold chain systems in their various communities. The challenge we have is how do we build similar impact businesses, impact startups to make a difference in the communities that we work in. And the reflections around how we're measuring those impacts, how we're able to put those impacts on paper and be able to impact a lot more communities in that respect. I'll pause here and say that this is a conversation that we at Social Enterprise Ghana, we generally work as a business network for social enterprises and supporting in developing close to 250,000 social enterprises across the country with our hubs. This is a conversation that we need to keep on having. But how do we build not just startups, but startups that have orientation towards impact and using social enterprise models to making a difference and change? Thanks so much, my good friend Panachi, for giving me this opportunity for sharing some small ideas and thoughts around how we can use our businesses and move them from zero as instruments for impact and change in our various communities. Thank you, and I'll pause here.
Thank you so much, Edwin. That was an extremely insightful presentation. I'm sure most of us in the audience who would like to start social enterprises in the future have gained an immense wealth of knowledge. And even those of us that are pursuing or about to pursue businesses that aren't necessarily driven by the desire to do good, I'm sure they can incorporate most of your teachings into their overall mission and help out the community as they make a profit as well. Thank you so much. At this stage, we would like to take a break. We have a speaker that will present at 3:30 Standard West African time. Would like to invite you around that time to continue learning with us. And with that, I would now lead us into the break. So have a great day. Please come back at 3:30 West African time for the presentation on people management and operations.